Hello. So this is the third episode in the Interviews Around the House series of episodes that I recently recorded with Josh Malerman. And since this is a different type of episode than what I typically do, I figured I'd give you a little bit of a different introduction than usual. So if you watched the original episode, you know that I recently spent some time hanging out with Josh Malerman. And in that time, I did a bunch of recording to capture just random conversation. The driving factor of this visit was to talk about his upcoming book, Incidents Around the House, hence the cheeky title, Interviews Around the House. But then, since we were just hanging out and spending time together, we talked about all manner of things, and it ended up being about 5 hours of stuff. And so what's different about this episode and the next episode is that it's less of an interviewer asking planned questions and getting responses from the author, and it's more just two people having a conversation. So it's not going to feel formulaic. It's not going to feel like the structure of an interview. It's just going to be more of two people discussing topics that they find interesting at the moment. That can be good and bad. So the good side of it is it's very natural. It's very real. It's getting to the core of a feeling that maybe we don't always have the ability to get to when we're going through a planned interview. But some of it might not be that exciting. Some of it might be so personal to me and Josh that you don't find it super interesting. For the sake of just kind of capturing everything, though, I'm sharing as much of it as I really could. I didn't really do much cuts to take things out of this. That being said, Interviews Around the House Part 3 is a mashup of chunks of two different conversations. So there's about 40 minutes. That was the first recording that I did when I got up there to visit Josh. We talked about the documentary mostly, but kind of on a couple of different topics as well. We started complimenting each other's voices. Some of this does kind of devolve into things that are less interesting to everyone and more just interesting in the moment or something. So I think that's the upside of capturing everything, is that you're going to get some of those more mundane conversations that don't seem super exciting, but still might be worth listening to. It also includes a chunk of the audio from when we were sitting out on the deck talking about incidents around the house. So after the conversation kind of navigated away from incidents around the house, there was another 20-25 minutes of audio that included stuff like talking about other authors. Daniel Kraus came up. We talked about some interesting stuff like Josh's last conference before the pandemic started and how weird it was to, suddenly be in a different world. So again, very conversational, not very much set up like a planned question from an interviewer with a thoughtful response. It's more general conversational situation, but I found it interesting as well, and hopefully you'll find some value in that. One note about this one: the initial part of the conversation takes place in Josh's house. We're listening to some music, and so there is a possibility that certain platforms might take it down for copyright reasons. I did kind of pilot out this part onto YouTube, and YouTube said, "Hey, you're listening to the Doors." But the Doors are cool with it, so hopefully it does remain. If it does get taken down from platforms, I will do my best to make sure that you know where to find it.
And then he goes to Chicago and wins it all 3 times. I mean, he was unbelievable.
Rodman was really... You met Rodman?
Because he was a rookie, and he was like one of the later picks in the draft and all that, and I must have been, Pete's man, I must have been like 12.
That's
and
recording.
And he seemed like an absolute giant to me,
Yeah.
Like a freaking
And you're
giant.
what, 6'4" or whatever?
No, but I was a kid.
Oh, you were a kid.
Yeah, I met
Oh,
him
I didn't think about that,
oh
yeah.
my God, and he was like new to Detroit, and nobody had any idea, like, the personality and the engine that we were had to come to town. Nobody had any idea, yeah.
That guy was something.
He was badass, yeah. He's one of my all-time favorite players. My brother has his jersey and everything, yeah.
From Detroit?
Oh, yeah.
From...
Yeah. He was here from 80... So he was here from 80, I think, 6 to 90 or 91 or something.
Okay.
Then he was with the Spurs for like 2 years. And then the Bulls on their second 3 run.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to...
Anything like that?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I was lucky enough to just get access to going to games. It was like the highest possible seat. Like I might as well have been hanging from the ceiling. Like how far away we were from the court. But like, even in the moment, I knew I was like, this is some historic shit that I get to participate in.
Oh so, yeah.
Because it was just, they were just so remarkable.
I was dating a girl that whose parents lived in Chicago during that era.
Yeah.
So I would read about them, and I was in Chicago all the time back then.
Yeah.
And like, God, what an odd moment in time that was, because her parents were like well off but divorced.
Yeah.
And they lived on like Lakeshore Drive and shit.
Okay.
Like it was like downtown shit, like apartments, like, and I would go to visit and it would be like crazy. What was the restaurant that kind of like spun? Is that in the? It's in one of the famous buildings, or maybe it's not.
I don't know.
It's like a restaurant that like rotates as you're eating or whatever. Like, but I was so broke, and I was trying to write my first book ever. It was called A Silo Maid, and I remember like talking to her mom about that, and her mom saying like, this seems like, Anne, who are you dating here? But she liked me, but it was also like, I don't know if this guy could have a future. He's interesting, but I don't know, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
One time, her mom showed me a photo of herself and her sister when they were like little kids. Like 4-year-old little kids. And I was like, wait, so who's older? And she's like, Josh, this is the night I met her. She goes, Josh, we're twins. You know that twins are the same age, right?
Oof.
I'll never forget. You know that twins. I was like, I didn't know you're a fucking twin. I just see like 2 little kids in a photo. I always think of Anne's mom, like, she was like worried, like, who's my daughter dating?
Josh Malerman is the answer to that.
Yeah, and I get it now though. If I was a dad, I'd be like, Tommy, you know that twins are the same age, don't you? We want to make sure of this before we continue here.
But like, even like looking back at, I think ourselves at that age, everybody was a fuck up. Like most people were like really unsure of pretty much everything back then.
Like hadn't like hit that groove yet, or that like fit into that.
Parents have are on the right track if they're like, who is this weirdo I'm talking to?
Absolutely. And just because you're like already trying to write a novel, like that could just be like something like a flight of fancy out of a 20-year-old, who's like, oh, I'm gonna write a book. It's about this guy that goes through the mountains and encounters all these weird like horror scenes, and she's like, the hell does that mean?
Right.
A silo maid, as it like someone that's like cleaning up the master son.
Yeah, that's a tough proposition. And like, I mean, even the people who take it seriously and carry it on for a while, like it's so hard to like break through to like get to the point where like,
oh my God, yeah,
that switch happens, and now it's like you get a little legitimate, more legitimate. It's hard to get to.
Yeah, I almost feel like recently with like Incidents Around the House, it's like doing something for me that like I couldn't strategize, which means I just wrote it as the next book, but it's being talked about in the same way as like Bird Box and other ones, and so like there's a sense of like, oh, now he has another one on this level or something. But to me, they're all on the same level. I don't mean that all children are the same. Like I absolutely believe that Ghoul in the Cave is as good or whatever as Incidents Around the House. But like you can just feel it, that in the same way that we would think that way about something that if it wasn't us or if it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh God, so Ira Levin also has the Stepford Wives? So he has Rosemary's Baby and the Stepford Wives, and you can like feel that, like the feeling that you had, which was like, this guy's for real. I can feel that Incidents is like doing that right now.
That's great. Like, so the early kind of reception and everything.
Yes.
Which that was me for Daphne, man. Like reading Daphne, I was like, this is like a perfect fucking book.
Oh man, thank you.
Like
that one was so fucking fun to write, man.
There's no way it couldn't be. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so we can talk about Daphne at some point, but like, yeah, like that. I think I kind of made a mistake talking to Paul Tremblay recently, where I was talking to him about how great reading horror movie was, and I really liked Paul Bearer's Club, and the way that I was hyping them up, it almost made it sound like they're on a different level than his earlier books, but I was just trying to like say things just keep getting better.
No, yeah.
And I don't think I expressed that properly, but like, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he was like fucking thrilled to hear that. Actually, I mean, how can he?
I was like, I hope he doesn't think I'm shit talking.
No, I'm sure. I mean, I guess I don't know, but I'm gonna assume that he was thinking. I'm sure that he was fucking ecstatic about that.
Yeah. I feel like we're talking different now that we know that we're being recorded. Do you feel that way?
I do.
Isn't that weird?
So why don't we do this? Why don't we go to the spot where I was? Should I put the record on again? Okay, hold on. Come with me, microphone. We are walking across the house. Hello, Thule. Thule is a Vizsla dog. Hello, Bala. Bala was a Weimaraner. And we are flipping the Doors live vinyl album. I think Peace Frog is the first song on this side.
Oh, me and some friends tricked a DJ into playing Peace Frog at a dance at my high school.
Oh, that's a good one for a dance.
So, but he cut it off, like, because the music is great, but then when he starts singing about blood a lot,
yeah,
they cut the song off, and we're like, oh, we're hoping you get all the way through that song.
The idea of the documentary was just like this sense or this feeling like when you're like, oh my god, when you're like writing a Facebook post or a tweet or whatever, and you like can't express yourself in full, like, because you'll be like, I just finished my 40th book. This is last night I was writing this. I just finished my 40th book, and it's, oh my god, I feel amazing. And you're like, wait, really? This is the coronation? Is this like 2-paragraph, like little like post that's like wedged between like someone saying, if you had only one album to listen to, and someone else saying like, screw the government? Like, this is where no. I want a wider space to express or to say whatever, how it feels to write a book. So, like 3 books ago or something, it started to become, okay, I watched, I don't remember what it was, but it was some sort of like lecture, or maybe it was like a panel that was like 90 minutes long. And I was like, I just watched that whole thing, just like totally, like with no plans to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I can sit here and watch 90 minutes of like stationary Zoom cameras of 4 people like talking about, I don't even know what. Couldn't I make a 90-minute like interesting movie about writing a novel by like filming, documenting yourself doing it? Like, couldn't this work? So the original idea sounds sweet,
so
dude.
Good. It's so good.
So the original idea was film it, edit it on like iMovies, and put it on YouTube for fellow writers.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm like, fuck it. 3 books ago, I was like, all right, let's do it. And what book was that? I just want to try to remember. It was the one before Incidents. I don't know what it is right now. Oh, Daphne. So I was like, you should film yourself doing this. And I'm like, no, God, that sounds like a lot of work. Fuck it, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Then Incidents, and I had no idea what Incidents was going to be like at the time. And I was like, is this the one we document? I think this is the one we're supposed. I am so glad I did not document that book. Because that book, we'll talk more about this later, but no music in the house, silence, nothing. There was no oh my God, I can't even imagine if there was a camera rolling and talking about, no, that was a cold, wonderfully cold experience. Okay, but then the next one. So now we're 3 years, or a year and a half, whatever it is, into this idea of wanting to do a documentary. And then I have like an okay idea, I think, but I'm like, you know what, fuck it, we're doing it. So I tweeted, I'm making a documentary of myself doing it. And these producers reached out to me, and they're like, we have never heard of this before. We would love to produce this movie. And they helped get me the audio gear, which is similar to the audio gear we're using right now. Helped me get like the better like phone camera to use. And best of all, every day's footage went immediately to an iCloud thing that they were able to watch that like within minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was like they were watching like the dailies.
Yeah.
This is crazy, right? So and not only that, it became like I wasn't alone in it. There were like other people that were like, hey, we liked this thing you did, or like this part was really funny, or this or that. So it turned into like, oh shit, this is real.
Yeah.
Like there are producers. The producers are Beck Woods, who they wrote A Quiet Place, they directed 65, they directed and wrote Haunt, they wrote The Boogeyman, and they're amazing. I freaking love these three. It's really Brian Scott and Julia is like the triumvirate of them. And so to have them and my manager, all of a sudden, this went from, I'm just going to film it and edit it and throw it on YouTube to, no, we're going to actually make a little movie right now. And at first there was like some pressure there, you know, because like Allison was like, dude, just be yourself. And it's like, Jesus, who the fuck is that? Seriously. It's like you said, I think we're talking a little different now that the mics are rolling. Right. Yeah. So like, imagine for 3 years or whatever it was, I'm like, I'm gonna do this because the Facebook post is too small. There's no nuance to say to express the journey of writing a novel. So I'm gonna do it. And you sit down and you turn the camera on, and then you're like,
just totally paralyzed.
Fuck, am I supposed to? What am I even talking about?
Yeah.
And I just like sat there, and then but then obviously you begin, and then it just became like so fluid, so fun. It started to become like I don't know if it was the camera or an imaginary audience or Allison or what, but it started to become like you were not performing for, but you were talking to an actual someone. I don't know who that someone was, but it was like at some point it did not feel like I was just arbitrarily speaking to a camera. It felt like I was speaking to someone. Like this is what I was looking for. So, the documentary, man, yeah. So we have edited the producer's notes have been addressed, music throughout, and then we just sent it back to the producers. So they'll respond likely with new notes, and that's where we're at.
So all right, but this is planned to be like an actual release, like a wide release.
So this is the deal. Backwoods is gonna, we're gonna shop it. I mean, we are too, but I imagine that I just imagine that they're more capable of that than like I am.
Have you done film stuff before, like in any capacity, like with the music or anything?
Well, with Jizzly Bear.
Oh, yeah,
and that was
of course.
And that was Allison. You know what? I decided I'm gonna put right now. The documentary is called "To All the Books," and I'm thinking of somehow adding to my Wikipedia page Jizzly Bear and "To All the Books," because that's two movies now, man. I don't even care if they're like lo-fi maverick madness.
I found out I have an IMDB credit right now.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
And what?
I recorded like 3 lines that were included in like a fiction podcast. Like I did, like a correction officer said these 3 things. And it was a friend of mine who was making this podcast, and he's like, I need a corrections officer. You have a nice voice. Can you do this for me? And I was like, yeah. And I completely forgot about it. And I think one day I was Googling myself to see what my girlfriend's kids would see if they Googled me. And an IMDb credit came up, and I was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, whoa, I'm famous.
That's sweet, yeah. You do have a nice fucking voice, man. It's crazy, man.
That's, it's I like it.
Is that something that you've noticed your whole life?
No.
Or people have told you, or like, hey, have you ever considered radio, Robbie?
No, no, but since doing the podcast, I've had several situations where it became clear that a lady was into me because of my voice.
No way.
Like, they straight up said, when I hear your voice, and that was the turn on for them, was listening to my voice. So, yeah.
That's like the Howard Stern movie where they turn up the bass and sit on the speaker.
Yeah, but my voice, so.
Wow, no, but that's fucking wow. That is a good thing to have, man. Like, when we started the, what's the right word, book tour, whatever, the readings for Bird Box.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus Christ, man, I'm like more Woody Allen than I am Vincent Price, man. Like, for me to walk around and like, Malorie stands in the kitchen thinking, I was like, wait, hold on. Like, a good voice is a serious good thing to have.
It is a good thing to have.
I feel like not having a great voice in this way turned into us doing these theatrical readings. Because I can't
So that
express
was-
incidents around the house
That's
on my own,
interesting.
man.
Like that's your way of making it a comfortable setting for you. But you've been always kind of more performative anyway, though, right?
Yeah, definitely, but also just like, but even then this would be performative to be like, this isn't the right voice for like fucking Bird Box. Like my voice, it's just not. It's like I needed something more like steady and like haunting and understated, not someone like a, you know.
Well, oh shit, I was gonna say something. First of all, so like the first time you and me talked was 2014,
Wow.
and so that's the first time I heard your voice. We were doing the podcast, we were asking you about Bird Box and everything, and yeah, so like what, 10 years, almost 10 years.
Wow.
Holy shit. But my first impression of your voice was like, this guy is energy and enthusiasm. Like your voice just gave me like, this guy's like a fun, happy, effusive kind of person.
Yeah.
Like was like the
What do you,
feeling.
does
yeah.
it still feel that way? I hope it feels that way in person.
Yeah,
So. That's
yeah,
good.
definitely.
All right, good.
But then hearing you on your music, which by the way I played, you have the man. I'm really fucking up saying this, but like one of your songs is the Max Booth is using for one of his podcasts.
Yes.
The Dog Ears.
Telescope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I played that song for my girlfriend, and I was like, "This is Josh Malerman." And she's like, "That's Josh Malerman?" So yeah, it was in.
Wow, man,
yeah.
that was amazing when Max fucking wrote me. That was recent. That
Yeah,
he
yeah.
asked me to use that, and I was like, oh my god, and the boys were so excited about it and everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's freaking amazing.
It's a fun song, and like I was like, I can't
Thanks.
like it was one of those things where I heard it and I'm like, is that? And then like he mentioned it at some point in the episode, and I was like, oh, it's so cool.
Wow,
But it's
really?
Such a fun song.
Oh, because you had heard like some other songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's such a fun song, and like, but I guess what I'm getting at is like your voice is, yeah, it can't like mine. I have a good conversation voice. You have like I think your voice fills the room in a way, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's good. Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. No, that's good. It's funny though. There are times where in the doc where I'm like, I am worried about it. Like I was more worried, like when I was, because I hadn't seen any of the footage, and there's 50 hours, and I start watching it,
Yeah.
and I was more concerned with how I sounded than how I looked, which is, first of all, listeners, if you haven't filmed yourself for 50 hours, it's the most self-conscious fucking thing ever, because
Oh, man.
yeah, because you're like, wait, that's what I look like picking something up? Like that's what I look like walking from behind?
Yeah.
That's what I look like if I turn my profile and Allison said something I wasn't expecting, that's what I look like?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the
Yeah.
littlest thing, you're like, oh, because any photo of you it's not so, well, I guess, it's pretty freaking intentional.
Yeah.
And then, so there were like 1,000 moments where I'm like, oh. But mostly I was worried, like, do I sound all right, you know?
Yeah.
I even cut one little bit, like redid a bit, because I just didn't like how I sounded.
Well, so I was talking to I don't know if you've heard of the author Craig Clevenger, but I brought you one of his books as a gift.
Awesome.
And he did the audio book for like the voice for one of his books, and one of the things that he has said is like there's like nothing better than the right microphone, basically. Like, so everybody's gonna sound so much better if you
Yep.
have good equipment recording and capturing you properly, because like your ear isn't hearing the way that like an audio like a microphone's gonna enhance your voice and all that kind of stuff. So like I lean heavily on the output at the end of me recording a podcast sounds way better than probably what I actually sounded like. But I have these, I don't know if
That, by the way, that's the same philosophy behind writing a rough draft.
yeah.
Same exact
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna bet this sounds better than I think it does.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you just gotta you can't get in your head about it.
Yeah.
But there are mornings where I'm like, my voice sounds fucking great right now. And I
Yeah.
just kind of like ride that wave of like, ooh, I sound good. I want to talk more because
Yeah.
I sound pretty good right now. Yeah. But that's my day job too. I talk to people when I'm training people. And so I'm always using my voice.
And like I was saying, it's like it's a quality of like a therapist or like a teacher or I don't know about maybe a coach. But like because it's just like, well, we were talking about the listening and making someone feel like they were like the actually being heard. But like for real, it's like a good voice. Also, if you think about it, all of our favorite actors like have good voices.
Yeah.
Like they all do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Allison and I always joke about the witch, as we all do. The old witch, as we all do. And then as we all do is the things that we all do that are weird and dumb.
I love it. Yeah. I think that's universal though. Like sometimes like we're never going to perform the way that we see it in our head, like the idealized version of what we think is going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's always that kind of like.
No, but I'm a fan of like the idealized version, like how we were talking before, how like Allison or Shallow like point out to us like something that was right in front of us the whole time, right?
Right.
So this idealized version might have been like kind of like silly anyway or something, and then the space between the idealized version and what it actually is, there's something like some transfer of like genius or brilliance there. What it actually is, like you were like, I'm gonna write a brilliant thing, and then like no, that's not for the reason you thought it was.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And it's like the process. Like there's a million reasons we could tell ourselves not to do something.
Oh my god.
Right.
Oh my god. Yeah. You heard Allison before. She was like, I don't want to go out tonight because I have to do that painting. Yeah. And I was like, yes.
Yeah. Fully, I will always support that.
I know. Like that's like the most badass thing. You cannot argue that. If somebody is saying, hey, I can't go out. Well, I guess you could for a fucking wedding or something. But if somebody's like, I can't do this because I'm working on the book, it's like the ultimate like, like that takes precedent over like everything else.
Yeah.
Like and her so her wanting to work on the painting tonight is like, yeah, that's
hell yeah.
Fucking awesome.
Well, even
do you want to go look at the painting?
Yeah.
And like talk it's right here.
Planning for me to come visit you, I was like, yeah, I'll be there around noon. And you were like, well, how about?
Yeah.
And I bumped it back a couple of hours, which actually just gave me the benefit of taking my lady out to breakfast. Wow, this is remarkable.
No, dude, I know. Look at this.
Wow.
Yeah. That's totally amazing, right?
That's, yeah. Like
I know, like something like right here is like like the way this like pops right here.
Yeah.
I was like, Allison, this is skin. Hey, Volve. I was like, this is like skin color and woods, and somehow this is popping.
Yeah, the color.
Yeah.
The contrast of the colors, the staging of all of it. The fact that like the kind of like the trees kind of come out in this like angle that they come out in and everything.
Yeah, I absolutely love this one.
It's so well done.
Hey Val, let's go outside. Do you want to go outside? Why not, right?
Here's my thing thinking about doing a painting like this. Are we all heading outside?
Yeah, sure.
Is like, how do you know when it's done?
Oh my god, I know, because
couldn't you just kind of continue
I guess
working
somebody
on
could
it?
ask that about a book too, right? Like, it'd be like, how do you know, but you just know or something?
Yeah.
But this is different because at what point, like if you're into realism, at what point is it real enough?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And if you're into like, just the vibe of it, well, then I guess it could be done right now.
That's what if you told me it was finished, I'd be like, of course it is.
No, I know. I was thinking that like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because she's been working on this for a while.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh my God, this is amazing. She's like, dude, that's like just the outline.
It's incredible. Like, I've always had so much respect for people who can do creative, artistic things like that, because I feel like the things that I do are so much more grounded in structure and like they're not creative like that.
Sorry about that. I feel like this smoke is going like right in your face.
It's like structure and analysis, I think, is what I'm good at, like, or drawing a connection between two things. But like, that is just pure creation, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I it's funny. It's like all these art forms, like through the years, and obviously now digital and this, but still, like there's something like holy about the painter.
100%.
There's something like when we say artist, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Yep. But meanwhile, the writer's the artist, and the digital creator's the artist, and and all these things. But it's still the fucking painter. You know, like the painter is like the ultimate like hat tip, the ultimate like respect from like every other art form. It's like, oh shit, that's good.
Right, that's like on the food pyramid.
It really is.
It's like the top of the...
Yeah. It's like the king of the, and I feel like Allison has that over me, you know, which is nice, and I respect that. The newest book I wrote, the one that I wrote in like fucking, I think it was 17 days, is about well, geez, I don't know if she's an artist. This is one of my pool buddies calling, so we're starting to get near the point of deciding if we want to play pool. Do you still feel like we're talking different or closer to how we were?
No, I think we're in a good. Yeah. I think we're in a good.
I think this is starting to feel like interviews around the house.
I
think as long as we do this like 4 or 5 times, we got
we'll have yeah, especially if we talk about the book. But oh shit, what was I gonna say?
No, you know what'd be great. You're like, I came all the way to Detroit and we didn't talk about the book once.
That would be fucking great. Like if you want my honest opinion, if we didn't make it around to talking about the book,
sounds great.
I would not have any
and
problem
it would still be interviews around the house.
It would be interviews around the house. Yeah. So I told you earlier, Shiloh, my girlfriend, is a copywriter. And when I finish reading books or when I'm reading a book, she has to like, she's around me when I'm reading and stuff. And so she has to kind of experience me experiencing a book. And so I'm talking to her, I'm telling her about storytelling and why something is important and all this stuff. And she's like listening and she's being very supportive and everything, but I can tell she's like, yeah, I know. But it's nice to have that, like, it's nice to talk to someone who gets it, kind of.
Oh my God. Well, that's the beauty of like events and stuff, you know, is like the first one I ever went to, I was like, holy shit. Like when the band was on the road, there were like literally two guys that I could talk to about, and horror specifically.
Right.
But writing, like, well, obviously Owen in the band is a writer as well, but like about like horror fiction or something. There were literally 2 guys. One was in Phoenix, and one was Phoenix and Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Yeah.
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Every time I went through there, this guy and I would talk about horror story ideas, and he was like a super sort of like spiritual guy, and he had so many good ideas. And had I finished the book yet? Then maybe one, I don't know. And last night, last night I finished number 40. But I think at this point, I had 1. And he would tell me his ideas. I'm like, Jesus, man, these are fucking great. And I would tell him my ideas. And then nobody in Phoenix, this other dude, he was kind of like a sporty dude. But like he also had like horror ideas. And it was the only 2 people I knew before Bird Box came out. The only freaking 2 people I knew that were writing anything or even considering. I don't even know if either of these guys wrote it down.
Yeah.
I didn't have a single friend that like thought this way. So going to a convention was almost like, holy shit.
Like almost overwhelming, maybe.
It was like, wait a minute, there's all these people. And then I started thinking that like each of these people are also the only guy or girl in their town that is writing this kind of thing.
Yeah, imagine like Max Booth, like in this little small town in Indiana, and like his very secluded life that has come out.
There's nobody around Max. There was nobody around Max.
Yeah.
Even now in San Antonio area, there's nobody around him that's
Yeah. So you had to find his tribe and everything.
Unless you're from New England. Unless you're from New England.
I'm so fucking angry at everybody who lives on the East Coast.
Then you're surrounded by it. Anybody else?
I drove 5 hours to do this.
Right. Yeah, New Englanders, like those, man, they are surrounded by like-minded like people.
Yeah.
I mean, and that even goes back to, for real, to Poe, Lovecraft, Washington Irving is upstate New York, for crying out loud. Obviously, Stephen King.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that is like, for whatever reason, New England is like ripping for horror authors. Yeah.
Do you know Becky Spratford?
Of course.
So, I think that even with her, because I'm not a writer.
Wait, where is she from?
Chicago. So she's like.
She lives there?
She lives in Chicago.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like the event you're doing in Evanston, like, might be a time to meet her. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I can't. I'm excited for that.
But
A little nervous, but I'm always a little nervous.
because she's a librarian and she's on the like more recommending stuff to people thing. The first time like I really had a chance to sit and talk to her one-on-one, it was like I'm talking to someone who finally gets what
Right.
I've been going through.
Right.
Because I've always been a reader who tries to bring awareness to books. She's a reader who tries to bring awareness to books, and suddenly like I'm like, oh, someone else does the thing I do.
Yeah.
And it was like so. Like I've always I met her back in 2017. Always respected her, but the time we had like a chance to really like talk, I'm like, she's like the best person in the world.
Yeah, Becky's amazing.
So
She
she's-
just posted a review of Incidents recently.
Yeah, she's great. So like, but like that, there's that thing like you have to when you find the type of people who get it.
Okay, so I
good.
remember, so the first convention was a StokerCon before Bird Box came out. The second one, or third one, I guess at this point, whatever, was Bird Box is nominated for Best First Novel. And I'm sitting at a table, and all of a sudden there's a guy like next to me saying like, "Hey, I'm Steven," and it was Stephen Graham Jones.
Yeah,
And it was this,
yeah.
and I felt like him and I were like, how do I explain it? Like birds of a feather or something, like that kind of like
Yeah.
vibe or something. That it was like game recognize, not game recognizes game, but like recognizes like or something like that. Like we were like when I met him, there was this sense of like, you are also writing at a ridiculous pace, and you are also trying like crazy things, and you're also I don't know. It was just a very meeting him for me was like a moment of like really feeling like, okay, I relate to this dude.
I was remembering on the way up to come visit you, the first time we talked, one of the things that we had talked about was someone important had just died in the HWA. Like, there was a significant person in the Horror Writers Association who had recently passed.
Oh, Rocky Wood.
Yeah,
Yep.
when we talked. So we were talking about that. We were talking about horror and, like, your enthusiasm for horror. And I was like, have you read... I could be remembering this wrong. But I was like, we asked if you had read anything by Stephen Graham Jones, and he was a new name to you.
Yeah.
And
No,
I
I'll
was
never
like-
forget that. Yeah. And then I looked him
yeah.
up, and he had 15 books out already, and da da da. I think the first of his I read was After the People Lights Go Out,
Yeah.
or whatever, that one, and then Mongrels, and then The Only Good Indians. I have not read, and I'm going to. I have it. My Heart Is a Chainsaw. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
Is it awesome?
So good.
It's great.
Yeah, well, because he basically... The things he does with, like, the slasher genre with that, like, whole trilogy is so good because he kind of, without getting too deep into stuff that would ruin the story, like, poses the, like, idea that, like, we're all final girls. Like, there's nothing intrinsic about the person that makes them capable of beating the slasher. It's like, we all have it in us, like, that kind of thing. So, like...
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he builds, like, some hopefulness around it, but yeah, it's so good. That guy is just,
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah, he is something else, man. I absolutely love that guy.
But in a way where it's like, he's very genuine and very...
Well, I think part of that genuineness is what we were talking about before, just this like writing. I don't want to say writing for no reason, because that sounds wrong somehow.
But for the sake of, or whatever.
Yeah. Like, it's like the guy obviously loves doing it. And yesterday
Yeah.
I finished book 40, and it feels like, if that isn't a like-minded soul. So I have to go to the bathroom. Should I just leave this on while I pee?
Yeah, or you can I'll edit out peeing sounds.
All right, or maybe I'll say something brilliant in here. Hi. So I am
Come here.
going to pee right now.
Hi.
This is
Hello.
the pee music.
I don't know if you need something, but you're being very nice.
I was peeing all day.
Hello.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Peed in my own face.
You are a nice and happy person, huh?
I think we're all gonna play pool tonight. I think that's the idea.
But it's okay. You are a sweet, enthusiastic little pup.
I was peeing in my own face just to watch it die. Hold on, Malo.
I'm right here.
Okay. I think I have a pool stick that I can bring.
What are you barking for?
That is the toilet flushing. I just peed.
Barking
Don't worry. So, the pool thing, you want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I do too.
Which, did we talk about the documentary when we were inside, or did we talk about other stuff? I don't remember what
We
talked
started to. Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, we did.
Because that's the thing that I was talking about, and then we were like, we should record.
Yeah.
And then we were like, starting to sound. Do we sound different?
That is a remarkable thing about how we... And that's why, even when I record on like a call, this is the first time I think I've ever recorded live with someone, but I try to have as much chatter ahead of time as possible so that we're not just going into it thinking we got a job to do. It's more like we're having a good conversation, now let's talk about the topic.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's like when you're typing and someone's watching you type.
Yeah.
Suddenly you can't type. It's the same thing, I think. We know.
And also, it's got to be hard for you to know, to gauge, okay, is the pipe or pump primed? Are we there? Like, do we start now?
Yeah.
Did we miss something just now? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. But part of me preparing for this was thinking we could just literally just have a microphone on us all day long.
Yep.
And then just cut down to the stuff that's interesting.
It would have been interesting. We didn't record any of the pool, did we?
No.
No, that man.
But at the same time, it's like, I feel like maybe that's just being too precious about it, you know? Like, and we're just having a conversation, and it's...
Yeah.
Selfishly, if my listeners don't get all of the awesome conversation, but I got it, I'm still good. Sorry, listeners.
Yeah. And band practice was fun.
Yeah.
Like,
I got to... So far on my trip to visit Josh, I get here, we're hanging out at the house, we're listening to music, we're having some drinks, just chilling. And then we go and we have a great time playing pool with Josh and some of his, like, a group of his friends. Play pool for several hours.
Yeah.
Come back, hang out, talk for a little bit. Crash.
Oh, yeah, you met Andrew.
And I met your
brother-in-law. Her brother-in-law.
Yeah. And, crash, wake up, go to a band
Woke
practice.
up to dogs kissing you.
Yeah, the dogs. I forgot you said the dogs know how to open doors.
Yeah.
So the door was shut, and then I hear the door open, and then it's like click, 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 dog paws, and but it was like, imagine being woken up by the most like slobbering love that could possibly exist. Like,
yeah, because think about it. First of all, look, this is unbelievable. Look at, I'm by the way, listeners, I'm looking at a cat and a dog just kind of like searching, playing outside together, like just kind of walking around together.
Yeah, it's a very serene moment out here.
Yeah,
there was tree frogs earlier. Yeah, then we went to band practice and I got to watch the High Strung play, and so I've never really attended like a band practice, but I have to imagine that part of it is that you guys have played together for so long, but it just felt like I was watching a band that got up on stage and was doing their set.
Awesome.
And I'm guessing that's because like the practice was focused on we're practicing
a
our
show.
set.
Yeah, especially like songs, we're going into songs and all that stuff. Yeah.
But man, you guys, it's obvious that you guys work really well together.
Awesome.
And there was very little notes. Like, but it was kind of like when we were playing pool and everybody was like, hey, great shot. When you guys did talk to each other during practice, it was like, I really liked how that sounded or whatever. Like,
yeah.
It was just,
Derek was great today. My God, the drummer.
He was
people. It. He was just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Then we came back and we're like, we might as well actually record.
Right. Now and we ate though.
Yeah, we ordered pizza.
I had a whole we had whole pizzas ourselves.
We didn't even it wasn't even cut. We're just primally tearing pieces off the pizza. Now, here's the problem though. I think that the bar just got set so high for like me interacting with an author that I have to go spend a weekend at everybody's house.
Yeah. But that'd be kind of amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, who else is... Well, there's a lot of people near you, right? Are there?
Well, if Gillian Flynn comes out with a book, she's a Chicago
She's
person.
Chicago?
Cynthia Playo is
near
me. Daniel Kraus.
Right.
He's in Evanston, so like you're going to that thing.
He has a new book, that Angel Down.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Daniel Kraus is out there.
I forgot that he was out there.
Yeah.
That guy's so brilliant, man. I was telling you last night about the clown script.
Yeah.
It's so brilliant, man. I told you I had to call him, even though we ended up not doing it together. Like, I had to call him to tell him like how brilliant it was. I couldn't just live with just letting that be like, oh, this one we're not working together or whatever. I had to call him and be like, that was freaking brilliant, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like he can make that movie on his own way. I don't know him well enough to know if he has that kind of like interest or gumption or whatever the hell it is, but he can make that movie on his own. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought too, because Shape of Water he did with Guillermo del Toro.
Uh-huh.
What other film stuff? It seems like,
I don't know.
I guess I don't know him well enough to know off the top of my head.
I think he's written 2 books with like Romero's like manuscripts or unfinished manuscripts or something like that, right? 2 of those now, right?
Yeah, because he's got the Living Dead one that came out.
Yeah.
2021.
And what's this new one called? It has a cool name.
It's like 3 words. God, why am I blanking?
Yeah, it looks good.
But it looked like it's not.
He's like legit good.
He really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and an interesting dude. Like,
yeah.
Happy I got the opportunity to talk to Daniel.
Yeah, he's great, man.
And that was one of those where he's one of those people where I was just like, I might as well just ask if he wants to talk, and he's like, yeah, sure.
No, he's great. So I met him in Chicago.
Yeah.
C2E2, does that ring a bell? Yeah. And I met Joe Hill actually at the same thing, but Daniel was like the last human being I saw. So we're at that C2E2, whatever.
Was that by the airport, or was that down by the lake?
Danny, if you listen to this, you tell me.
All right, bad question. Continue.
And so Alice and I are sitting behind like the booth where we would sign or whatever, and then he walked over and said, I'm Daniel, and I'm like, oh, hey, blah, 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 blah. That was it. That was the last human I saw. We started driving home, and by the time we got home, I think the world was like starting to shut down for the pandemic.
Oh, man.
So forever... Daniel Kraus and my like meeting was sort of in this like foggy place of like the world was like shut. It almost seems like him and my meeting was almost like apocalyptic in a way.
Right.
Not meaning that we were the cause of something, but that we had met during this like weird moment in time. The whole world shut down like a few months later.
Kind of like if you
or a month later. No, it was like a month later.
So it's kind of like if you went to like Chernobyl and saw.
No, it might have even been like a week, dude. When was C2E2 in 2020? I'm going to look this up. And then when were like all like the lockdown stuff?
So in Illinois, the lockdown was like March 16th
right.
or something.
March,
like that.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, I think it was like days later. C2E2. 2020, right?
Yeah. Tree frogs again. Yeah, what a weird kind of like.
Yep, it was held February 28th to March 1st.
Yeah.
And then when did it close down?
2 weeks later.
Right, 2 weeks later it was closed down.
Yeah.
So to us, it was like, oh, we went to Chicago and we met Daniel and Joe Hill, but it was really the Daniel moment because it was the end. It was the last person, and then we leave, and then the world shut down.
I know I wanted to get out to. I knew you were coming. I knew you were going to be in town for that, and I was like, "Ooh, I could go. I could maybe go." Something kept me from going to see 2 weeks. I can't remember what it is. But then I would have seen you right before the world shut down.
Yeah, it was a weird feeling, man. Because Allison and I were. It doesn't. We don't talk about any of that shit anymore. But it just bringing up Daniel, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I thought it was cool. So we talked about this earlier, but Max Brooks came out with Devolution. Like summer of 2020, and so he had worked with think tanks and stuff, studying pandemics and other types of like crazy events like that. So it was bananas crazy to talk to a guy who was like researched on that when nobody fucking knew what was going on.
Yeah,
so, like, to get an informed opinion that like
he's like on Bill Maher all the time and shit, man. Yeah.
And then having him have the crazy like famous parents, you know?
Oh yeah. Like the most famous parents you can have in a way.
Is it Anne Bancroft?
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy, but then he told the most heartwarming story. I don't know. He was talking about being dyslexic and how when he was a kid, his mom would go far out of her way to get audiobook versions of books for him.
Oh wow!
So that he could stay up with his studies and stuff and not fall behind because of dyslexia. And it was like such a heartwarming moment to hear that like Anne Bancroft is running around trying to find audio.
Yeah, which were rare at the
that
time. Yeah. Super rare at the time.
For like the blind or for whatever, probably at the time is probably what it was. But yeah, there was that guy really blew me away with how like impressive.
So he was just like one-on-one. But you guys were just talking to him straight up alone.
Yeah.
Wow. Was it intimidating?
That was a get. He was he was
super smart dude.
Yeah.
I blurbed Devolution.
Yeah.
And it was I wrote like, the littlest back and forth like thing, but that was my only experience with him. But I think he's still Del Rey, right?
I don't know, because he writes a lot of Minecraft books and stuff like for kids.
He does.
Yeah, he does. He's diverse because he does his think tank stuff. He does his like. Yeah, but he does a lot of Minecraft books for like young adults.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, super interesting dude. Yeah, and then also you have here Kathy Koja.
Oh yeah, local to you.
Yeah.
Who else? Yeah, what kind of scene you got around here?
Chad Lutsky is in Battle Creek.
Right.
Brian Matthews is in. Where is he in? I don't know. Northville? Or is he in Grand Rapids? I can't remember right now. Mark Matthews is Northville, I think. Jimmy Doom is in the Detroit area, or Hamtramck, or right around here. Michael Zadurian, who did the Leisure Seekers, which is a movie with Helen Mirren and Donald Sutherland.
Nice.
He is a great freaking writer. Everyone I'm talking about is a great writer. Like, Kathy's like, dude, it's going to blow your lid. And that guy, Jimmy Doom, has written a story every day for, I think it's over 3 years now. And they're all like a Substack thing, or whatever. Wow. I don't know exactly what it's called, but I subscribe to it, so I get it every day. And it's crazy. I blurred one of his books. It was awesome. I went to his reading. It was awesome. Jimmy's like amazing. I'm trying to think of. There was someone that crossed my mind a second ago. Mitch Albom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we played on his show, The High Strung, twice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we went in the studio with him. Yeah.
Wow.
And then. Cool. I went, when the movie came up for Bird Box, I got a text message like, "Hey, this is the Mitch Albom show. Do you want to jump on right now?" And I was drunk at a bar, and I was like, "Yeah."
Of course you would.
And so I get on, and Mitch Albom says to me, "You haven't sold the sequel rights yet, have you, Josh?" And I was like, I did actually. In the original deal, I did. And he's like, and you can hear them, "Oh no!" Because it's a total hit, man. You could get all this. But I was like, no. But it's for the same deal as the first one. They're like, "Oh no, what'd you do?" And I'm like, "Ah!" Like, this is all live in front of the whole city, Then though, and this is sort of behind the curtain stuff. Bird Box Barcelona comes around, and I discovered that not only do I get the same deal for a sequel, but for a spin-off or for anything.
Anything that's in that world.
Anything. So, Bird Box was... Just give me a second. 6 times the budget of Bird Box Barcelona. I got the same deal.
No kidding.
So I wanted to call Mitch Albom back and be like, "Listen here, motherfucker." I just wanted you to know it worked out.
Well, now, fingers crossed that they just go nuts with the Bird Box property.
Oh, well, that'd be amazing. I do think that there's some things that came up in this Barcelona one that could really work in other places. But yeah, I want to see Malorie. That's what I want to see on the blind train and everything. That's another thing. And the last thing I'll say about the pandemic is that we at the zoo here, there's a train that goes around, like for kids or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so we had gone to the Detroit Zoo, and the plan was to blind everyone on the train, and then to read through the, next stop, blah, blah, blah. Like, read the book through so everybody would be on a train, blindfolded, going around the zoo while we were, reading the book, and it was so perfect.
Yeah.
I was probably there the week after C2E2. And then, they said yes to everything, the zoo, a week later. So the Malorie reading never happened, which sucks. We can still do it now, though.
You could.
I would just have to go and arrange all that, but yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. The pandemic, man, really.
Yeah, I know. It's really frustrating to me.
in some things.
I know. It was like time warp, man. It really was.
I gotta imagine too, writer's strike. So that writer's strike that happened recently, I was talking to Liz Karen, who wrote her duology of vampire books, who is also a screenwriter. she was on the project to take her like little vampire world thing and make it into a TV series, and like her show was like one of like the ones that didn't make it out of the other side of it.
No.
And so that's a bummer.
Oh, it's so hard, man, because any force majeure, you know what that means? That means that the duration of the strike is added into like a contract. So if you sign a year long, the strike force majeure is it's considered out of the hands of the studio.
Yeah.
Because like just like if a tornado happened, that's
Right.
what force majeure is. So it's now that year-long thing you sign is actually 16 months.
Yeah.
Because it includes the time spent during the strike.
Right.
That, it might not sound like that big of a deal, but when you have like this project planned for this date or this option money for this moment or this or that and blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. It was terrible. And we're all still like feeling it, you know? Yeah. But I mean, I understand it was the unnecessary moment, of course, but man, it's been freaking hard. Yeah.
Right, because like the way that I look at it is strikes are necessary for people to get what they deserve.
Yep.
But everybody suffers.
Yep.
And there's no way around it.
There's no way around it, and you just kind of got to be like, fuck,
Yeah.
and then like move on.
Like,
but like no, like obviously zero hard feelings, but have to acknowledge that it's like, yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, and think about what happened like there's a really big writer strike, in like 08, 09, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 08.
And it was just devastating but it also gave rise to reality TV in a lot of ways, because it's like unscripted TV. They could fill that time with that stuff that didn't require writers.
Oh my
But
God.
because there was so much of it, then that's what people suddenly wanted. And so that's why there's like housewives everywhere and stuff like that. Like, yeah.
Where are they?
I know. The Real Housewives of Josh's neighborhood.
Yeah. The Real Housewives of the literary horror scene.
What
Uh-oh.
do you have? So the next book that's getting released is the nonfiction book.
I don't know that for sure.
Or
It's either that or this one that I just finished like 2 days ago.
yeah. For the listeners, I showed up. I told Josh, "Hey, I'm going to be there at noon on this day." And Josh is like, "Well, what about a few hours later? Because I got something I'm working on." So I came in just after the finishing of a book.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I finished it the night before. I almost wrote you that night saying, no, you can come earlier. But then I was like, yeah, he already like said he was like you were going to go out with Shiloh and stuff. So
I had to buy my girlfriend breakfast.
Yeah, so I was like, screw it. This works out
It
perfect.
works
Yeah.
out fine. Yeah. Easy drive, too.
I actually really like that drive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Weird stretch of Indiana, but still, I like it.
You'll have to. Did you? I don't even care if this is on the podcast or not. But like, who was it? Joshua Hull, I think his name is. Did a Scarelastic, I think, conference in like Indiana. He had a book just come out called Mouth, and it's about like this guy inherits this land, and on the land is this big hole in the ground that's got like teeth and stuff, like it's a mouth in the ground.
Oh, that's fun. That sounds fun.
But yeah, I think he put on this like Scarelastic horror conference in like Indiana or something, which I didn't even know.
Oh, I think Jans went to that.
Yeah, Jans went to that, and I was like hearing about it as it was going on, and I was like, I could be there. If I knew this was happening, I could be there.
No, there are so many times that happens, like where Allison and I, like I didn't even, like there's a thing called Motor City Nightmares here.
Yeah.
That is probably actually coming up, and I have no idea when it's even happening, and I'm like, how the fuck do I not know that? My whole feed is horror, the Beatles, or that kind of like the Kinks, and like basketball. Like, how do I not know if there's a horror convention in town?
Yeah, it's a little embarrassing. Like sometimes, like. Yeah, my girlfriend will be like, "Hey, are you going to this, or did you know about this?" And I'm like, "Why did I not know?"
I know.
about
Well,
that?"
Chicago has
So
to be like
frustrating.
endlessly good shit. Like you could go out every night to like brilliant opera or play or something, right?
Yeah.
Like every night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the people for anyone who's listening who's not from Chicago. But the job I have now, for a while I was doing trainings like live in person, so people would be flying in from all over the country and like spending a week, and I'd be training them. And they'd be like, "What is there to do in Chicago?" And I'm like, "Tell me what you like."
Yeah, no kidding.
There's a world-class example of that you can experience.
No, Chicago is like all timer, man.